Stick around. We're going to hear from Stan Caplan, who's running for the 51st District for Congress.
That's why we need Seal One as a sponsor.
I keep telling you, bring some of that Seal One in here. Hey, a lot of companies waste a lot of money on their website. The reason why is because they don't have a clear message. You are wasting money if you don't have a clear message. So Sage Tree gets it done. Since 2005, Sage Tree has been helping companies connect with customers here in San Diego and across the nation. Contact them today to get a better return on your investment from your marketing dollars. Go to sagetree.com and learn a whole lot more.
All right, our next guest is Stan Caplan. He's running for Congress in the 51st District. If you don't know where the 51st District is, that's one of the reasons we are having Stan on. Stan, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Perfectly. So tell us, where is the 51st District?
I'll give you some boundaries. On the northern end, it's the Highway 56, and it goes as far north as Rancho Penasquitos, Carmel Mountain Ranch, and then down to Scripps Ranch. On the west, it's the 5, and then the southern border would be the Highway 8, going over to Lemon Grove, Spring Valley, La Mesa, the city of El Cajon, and back up around to San Carlos and Tierra Santa and Scripps Ranch. So includes Mira Mesa. It's a very large geographic area.
And what inspired you to run for Congress?
Well, a number of things. First of all, when I grew up, 8 o'clock the bell rang in school. We stood up and we pledged allegiance to the flag. We were taught a reasonable traditional American history, the essence being that, we loved our country. We respected the founders. Memorial Day and the 4th of July was a big deal. So I look around at what's going on today, and I'm really concerned about the direction of the country.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Alabama. I went through high school in Birmingham. I went to college at the University of Texas, moved to Houston, then came to San Diego in 1986.
So how long were you in Birmingham?
Through high school.
Do you mind my asking, what years would that have been?
Oh, Lord, you're going to date me here.
I know.
All right. So I graduated high school in 1967.
Okay, so Birmingham, Alabama in the 60s was a fairly active time, was it not? I mean,
Yes, it was.
You witnessed some history.
Absolutely. In my senior year of high school was the first year of integration.
That's crazy. What was that like? I mean, that was huge. So that was George Wallace that was the governor at that time, right?
That's correct.
I mean, that's right in the middle of the civil rights and everything. And Birmingham, Alabama was right, just like ground zero for a lot of that. That's really amazing. So talk about some of your memories of that.
Sure. If me and the buddies wanted to go downtown to watch a movie, we would get on a public bus, and if you were white, you sat in the front of the bus, and if you weren't, you'd sit in the back of the bus. When we got into the movie theater, if you were white, you sat down on the main floor. If not, you sat up in they call it the mezzanine or the balcony. If you went into a department store and you wanted to drink a water out of the water fountain, if you were white, it said white, and otherwise it said colored. So, these distinctions were very clear. So when they talk about, all this racism stuff today, it's ridiculous because
you saw real racism.
Of course.
And what were your thoughts at the time when you're growing up and you're seeing that? A couple things come to mind. Either it was, it was a big deal because people were making a big deal. But I wonder if you grew up around that, did it seem normal? I mean, was there a point in your life where it was kind of pointed out and you were like, oh my gosh, you're right, this is really ridiculous and wrong? Or did you always know it was wrong?
Well, that's interesting. Your environment does play a role, and when you're used to hanging out with, just white people like yourself, then that's kind of what you expect. But these changes come fairly easily, and, they weren't particularly rushed, but people acclimate, and all of a sudden the new normal is that there is integration. An interesting thing, when I was growing up, you were either black or white, and you lived in your own neighborhoods. I go back to visit regularly to see some family. I go down, and my little local barber shop is still there, and I'll be darned if it doesn't look the same. But what was of interest, when I used to get my hair cut in there, it looked like there were two guys that used to be out of the military with their flat tops or crew cuts. Today I go in there, and there were lady barbers, and in one chair, was a white boy from Auburn, and the other was a young man that was from India. And there weren't any Hispanics, there weren't any Asians, and I mean the whole world has changed.
So you're a Republican, right?
That's correct.
Were you a Republican back then?
Well, I was never really active in politics, and the interesting thing is I've never been in politics till this date.
So, I mean, did you have strong opinions when all this is happening around you? Did you have strong opinions either way?
I really did not. I can absolutely say I did not. I just kind of rolled with the punches and didn't get in anybody's way. And I guess politics and social events wasn't an important thing to me when I was in my teens and my 20s.
Well, it's because it was the Republican Party. At that time, in that place, it was the Republican Party that was fighting for, equality, and it was the Democrats that were all about, they're the reason that you had the separate but equal. You had the two water fountains. You had the two different sitting at two different places on the bus. That was all. Those are all Democrat Jim Crow laws, and your governor George Wallace was a candidate for president. He was trying to run as a Democrat to basically nationalize and protect those laws. And, it's pretty crazy. The reason Nixon won the South is because your governor, George Wallace, was running against, I forget the other guy's name. I forget the other candidate's name. But they split the vote. So you had racist Democrats in the South, and then you had not so racist Democrats in the South. They split the vote, and the minority at the time were the Republicans, and Nixon swept the South because they split the vote, and all the Republicans won. I would just imagine that would have a big impact on why you're a Republican today. Does it not, or why are you a Republican today?
Well, let's fast forward. It's really more about what's happening today. In this district, let me say that the incumbent is a Democrat, Sarah Jacobs. She's voted. She's 33 years old and a freshman congresswoman, and she has voted along party lines with Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden. Now, not only am I concerned about the direction of the country, but when I go out and talk to people now in my district, they're very worried. And let me just tell you a couple of the issues. You go in a grocery store, and I'll go hang out at a grocery store, and I'll ask people coming out, does this have any impact on your standard of living? And they say, of course it does. And if you talk to anybody on a fixed income or anybody that's living paycheck to paycheck, this hurts. I had a lady come out. She said she was 83, and she didn't look it.
Hey, Stan, stay on the line. We want to take you into the next segment, okay?
All right, sure.
PRMI Mortgage, primeres.com/Alpine. Are you in the military? Are you looking for help for a VA loan? Or if you're looking to buy or refi, or if you're considering reverse mortgage, call our local mortgage guy that you can trust. Call Chris Wiley at PRMI Mortgage. For nearly 25 years, Chris has been helping local San Diegans with all their mortgage needs. Call Chris Wiley at 619-722-1303 or primeres.com/Alpine.
So I just thought it was fascinating, Stan, that you grew up in Birmingham, Alabama in the 60s when all that was happening. So I'm glad you shared that with me, and I really appreciated it. But we should probably talk about your race a little bit. And you started talking a little bit about the district and some of the feedback you were getting. So let's start with what makes you a Republican? Why are you running as a Republican?
If I could give you a couple of just real-life situations, that'll help understand this. So let me just finish with the 83-year-old lady comes out of the grocery store, and it took 5 minutes for her to warm up to me. And finally she says, "Are you really a Republican? Are you really? You promise?" I said, "Ma'am, please, here's my card. Look me up on my website." She says, "You know, my husband is a veteran. We moved here. We're retired." And she says, "We got our San Diego gas and electric bill, and we were shocked. And now at night, sometimes we put candles on instead of turning the lights on." Now, this is pathetic in the United States of America. Then she said, and then she really confided in me, and she said, "And let me tell you, we're afraid to speak up. My son is a Democrat, and he won't talk to us." This is the kind of stuff I'm hearing from real people. I went to a gas station after that. A lady's in a van with her little boy, and I said, "Ma'am, are these higher gas prices having any impact on your standard of living?" She says, "Well, we now can't afford to take day trips with the family." Okay? So that
It reminds me, Stan, it reminds me of a joke. I don't know if you've heard this joke, but what did socialists use before candles? What did socialists use for light before candles?
All right.
The electricity.
Beautiful.
Yeah, right?
Beautiful.
All right, keep going.
And that's where we're headed. So that, and again, one of your commercials even hit on this critical race theory. I mean, parents are mad as hell. They're tired of being called terrorists. They're taking away your constitutional rights, which includes the Second Amendment. And the government is expanding like crazy. They're overreaching. These mandates are out of control. And it's just their way to get more power. And from listening to real people that work for a living, now I understand why you hear the phrase on TV, these people in Washington or New York or Silicon Valley, they are out of touch with what's going on in this country.
So what do you want to do? What are your priorities?
Okay, so first of all, I think we need more people like you and me up there instead of the current, quote, politicians.
So handsome people. You're talking, you want to...
That's right. Smart and handsome. That's right.
I'm with you. Okay, I'm with you. I support that plank. What else you got?
All right, and people, they have to like the country. They have to want to continue to have capitalism and freedoms as outlined in your Constitution. They have to be able to, if they want to have a small business, they need to be able to have the right to flourish in that business, not have it closed down and let the big guys take over all of their business. This COVID, they allowed that to be the reason for running small businesses out of business, and it's a shame. And that, in my opinion, along with what they're teaching these kids today, is really taking away initiative, ambition. There's this, they're trying to make people be reliant on the government for support. And it's never been more obvious when they float these trillions of dollars out there to pay people not to work. So I know I'm going off on tangents here, but it all comes together to create a different society. And that's why I'm running. Back to what I can do about it.
Well, actually, Stan, Joe's got a question for you real quick, bud.
Sure.
Yeah, hang on, Stan. Yeah, you're actually not on a tangent. You're right. You're going right down the line. I was going to go down with you anyway. The the problem with the at least here locally, our Republican Party's infested with swamp Republicans. And they're doing all the things you're just describing, and it's the same way at the federal level. So as a new representative, when you get up there, what can you do to fix that? Because we can't go forward in this country without getting rid of those kinds of Republicans and getting good men and women elected that actually care about the country, like you were just saying. So what can you do if you get there?
I honestly don't know what I can do alone. I'm hoping, and I'm starting to see in races around the country, people like myself start to stand up. Again, at my age, see, I'm not afraid they can't woke me or cancel me or get me fired. I mean, I'm going to get up there and make noise. What you hear right now is what they're going to hear up there. I mean, when I look at these people that have been, rotting in solitary confinement for over a year, why aren't the Republicans doing something about that? I mean, there's just a number of things they don't have any backbone. And we just need a majority of people that are willing to fight for people's rights, that'll speak up. These people get in there, I guess they become corrupted. It's an easy job, I guess. They get influenced, they make good friends, they get to go to good parties, they get big contributions, and it gets to be just get along, go along.
You're talking about Daryl Issa.
No, I'm not.
I thought that's where I was reading between the lines there, Stan. All right, you know what? Action Jackson's got a question for you.
Sure, go ahead.
Go for it, bud.
What's your favorite gun?
Good question.
Oh, that is a good one. Unfortunately, I haven't had to use it. I used to like to do this trap and skeet shooting, so I do enjoy shooting a shotgun. For home defense, I think a good 12 gauge with double-aught will do the trick.
So we got like a minute and a half. Tell us everything. We've covered a lot of information, and tell us everything you know about the Second Amendment and guns. What's your take on the right to keep and bear arms?
All right. If you look at my website, I've got under priority Second Amendment, and I'm just going to read what I've got on there.
Go for it.
Do not touch this constitutional right. Absolute 100% support. American citizens must have the right to keep and bear arms for personal security and protection. And if I can give out my website, please, it's Caplan for Congress, CaplanForCongress.com.
All right, cool.
All right.
What's going to be the key to winning?
Work my butt off, and I got to make this primary real close, and then maybe I'll get the support of the National Republican Party and some big donors and people that are fed up. And if anybody has $10 to put in, I appreciate it. But I'm on go.
Because you're running against Sarah J. I mean, she's the Qualcomm princess, and she's absolutely ridiculous. I have no idea how she got elected. She has no business being in Congress.
Let me tell you a factoid, what I just learned. You are limited as to how much you can contribute to my campaign. The candidate is unlimited.
Right.
Now tell me something's not wrong with this. And I'll
it's First Amendment. I actually support
Yeah.
that. It's tough, but that's the First Amendment. I get to spend my money how I want. If I want to spend my money on getting out a message for me to run for office, I should be able to do that. That's the Citizens United thing. I'm actually all for that. Okay, Stan, what's your website?
Okay, Caplan for Congress, CaplanForCongress.com.
Thanks for being on the show. And I got to tell you, I'd focus on your upbringing a little bit more. The fact that you're where you were when you were there in Birmingham, I think that's really interesting. I think that resonates with people. And thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome, and thank you so much for having me.
Take care.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.